If you have ever been part of a finance team during the month-end close, you know the feeling, right? That absolute chaos, a frantic scramble of spreadsheets, last-minute emails, and just hoping everything ties out. Well, today we're going to talk about how you can transform that chaos into crystal clear clarity. We're going to see how combining the power of SAP S/4HANA with the smart automation of BlackLine can completely change the game. So let's jump right in.
All right, so our journey starts in a place that every single finance leader knows all too well. The last mile of the financial close. You know what I'm talking about. It's that critical final stretch where all that raw data is supposed to magically become a trusted financial report. But it's also exactly where those hidden risks and, frankly, costly errors love to hide. And this gap, it actually has a name, the financial white space. And what's really surprising is that it exists even when you have this incredibly powerful ERP, like SAP S/4HANA running your entire operation. This is that blank space where your team is living, manually reconciling accounts, managing checklists in Excel, and chasing down approvals through endless email chains. Now, this white space isn't just inefficient, it's a massive source of risk, and let's be honest, the main reason for all that month-end stress.
So, just a quick gut check here. Does your team still live in Excel to close the books? If you're nodding your head right now, trust me, you are not alone. But it also means you're wide open to all the classic problems: human error, a total lack of transparency when something goes wrong, and a process that is just a nightmare to audit.
So how do we bridge this digital gap? Well, this is exactly where BlackLine comes into the picture. And it is so important to understand this. BlackLine isn't about replacing your SAP core. Not at all. It's about completing it. Think of it as the missing puzzle piece, a solution designed specifically to fill in that financial white space. It connects your ERP data to your final reports with this seamless layer of automation and, just as important, control.
And this table right here really says it all. I mean, look at that before column. That's the old way, right? Manually exporting CSVs, wrestling with VLOOKUPs that never quite work right, and spending 90% of your time just finding the problems. Now, look at the after column. Data syncs automatically. A powerful rules engine handles all the matching, and your team's valuable time is finally spent analyzing the exceptions, the things that actually matter. And the audit trail? It goes from a messy chain of emails to perfect, pristine digital evidence. It's a night and day difference.
And this automation is built on 4 key pillars. First, you've got task management, which basically takes that old Excel checklist and turns it into a living, breathing, real-time dashboard. Then, there's account reconciliation, which automates the incredibly tedious job of validating balance sheet accounts. For the really heavy lifting, transaction matching can chew through millions of items in a flash. And finally, the intercompany hub is there to tame that notoriously complex beast of transactions between your own group companies.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but what about the real-world results? Let's get into the hard data. We're about to see the actual numbers from global companies that have made this transformation happen.
Just look at this number, 98%. That is the auto-reconciliation rate that Zurich North America got for their subledgers. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. 98% of that painstaking, manual, checking every line kind of work just vanished. Poof. It just happens automatically every single day.
And this gets to the real heart of the matter. You know, it's so important to understand that this isn't about replacing accountants. It's about elevating them. It's about freeing your most skilled people from the low-value, repetitive work of checking things that are already right, and letting them focus all of their brain power on that tiny percentage of exceptions that truly require human intelligence to solve.
So what does all this automation actually do to your closing schedule? Well, for the video game giant Capcom, the impact was huge. As you can see, they slashed their monthly close time from 15 business days all the way down to just 7. That's more than a 50% reduction, which means they are delivering critical insights to the business a full week earlier than they ever could before.
And it's a similar story at a company with the massive transaction volume of Nike. An incredible 98% of their accounts receivable and payment provider data gets matched automatically. That means their finance team gets to live in that tiny 2% sliver, focusing all their energy only on what truly needs their attention.
Now, this quote from the Coca-Cola company reveals a really powerful strategy. See, they didn't just automate their old fragmented processes. They used the tool itself as an engine to drive process standardization across the entire globe. And the result was just stunning. They were able to reduce the staff dedicated just to reconciliation by 55% and centralize the work, which unlocked massive new efficiencies. Okay, so we've seen the what and the why, but how do you actually make this happen? This next part is basically the blueprint. It's about how to make sure you're implementing a real transformation, not just plugging in another piece of software.
This slide really lays out the two different paths you can take. Over on the left, that's the road to success. It's about adopting a fit-to-standard mindset, getting your execs bought in, and, this is a big one, cleaning your data first. Now on the right, you've got the common pitfalls. Trying to protect old, we've always done it this way processes, automating things that are already broken, and just ignoring bad data. The key takeaway here? The companies that win are the ones that embrace standardization instead of fighting it.
And the best way to get there is with a smart, phased approach. You start with the foundation. Get your data clean, establish clear governance. Then you launch a pilot. Maybe start with something like task management to get some quick wins on the board and build momentum. And from that strong base, you can then expand to the more complex stuff and scale it across the entire business.
So let's just zoom out for a second and look at the real big picture here. Because this isn't just about closing the books faster. This is about fundamentally changing the role of the entire finance team within the organization.
The ultimate goal, the destination, is something called continuous accounting. Just imagine it. A world with no more frantic month-end scramble, because the books are essentially soft-closed every single day. When data is being verified continuously, the business gets a real-time, trusted view of its financial health at any moment they need it.
And this metaphor of the historian versus the navigator, it just captures the shift perfectly. For way too long, finance has been forced to be the historian, spending all its time looking in the rearview mirror, just reporting on what's already happened. This new model allows the finance team to become the navigator, using reliable, real-time data to help guide the company's future.
And what does a navigator actually do? Well, they're not stuck reconciling the past. They're focused on deeper analysis, on supporting mergers and acquisitions, on truly partnering with business units, on tackling complex ESG reporting, and on building the forecasts that actually shape company strategy. This is the high-value work that really drives a business forward.
So we'll end with a question for you to take back to your own organization. Is your finance team still looking backward, or are they truly equipped to navigate forward? Because the shift from historian to navigator, well, that isn't just some future idea anymore. It's the new standard for modern finance.